Ruben Amorim is the new manager for Man United, and I'm here to tell you this lad will do what Ten Hag couldn't. He reminds me of Jose Mourinho. Yes, you might be saying Jose Mourinho, an all-time top 5 manager, certainly isn't being compared to the new Manchester United manager who is yet to manage for a big club, because he still hasn't technically managed for United. Today was his first day of training, but I genuinely believe Ruben Amorim will bring Manchester United back to the glory days. This is coming from an Arsenal fan, all right? This lad isn't going to be given the same budget. We got to have to blame Ten Hag for wasting all that money. He spent over 600 million just to leave this club at 8th place last season. Europa League, yes, he gives you an FA Cup championship, but for over 600 million, you're going to be getting a FA Cup and a Carabao Cup. Mate, you could have done that for 100 million. We've seen clubs do it for a lot less. We've seen Arsenal's worst ever seasons without spending much money, gave them a FA Cup. But aside from that, this lad has left Sporting here. 11 wins, no draws, no losses, been very impressive. In the Champions League, Sporting literally went into the Etihad and gave them a dance 4-1. Yes, they didn't have Rodri. Yes, there was a couple injured players. But at the end of the day, Sporting is not spending the amount of money that Manchester City is. Manchester City is far more backed financially than Sporting will ever be. So that was an impressive win. And, Amorim has won a lot of impressive games against English clubs. He eliminated Arsenal in the Europa League in the Emirates in the second leg. He's had impressive wins against big-time Premier League, squads like Man City and Arsenal. So I believe, the fact that he could go into these stadiums in England with his Sporting squad, the team that he's developed, and go in there and beat these teams if it's a group stage game like the Man City game or in a two-legged draw like the Arsenal one, he's shown that he could tactically come in and win these matches against English clubs. And now you're going to be going to Man United, which, I think it's a great test right there for his career. And I think this is going to be where we see him possibly go the long distance. This is a young manager, He retired in his early 30s and he became a manager. He worked under Jose Mourinho, and he has a lot of the similar philosophies of Jose Mourinho. So, Mourinho, if we, take a little time lapse to the past, he eliminated Man United with Porto, right? In the Champions League, 2 legs, and he gets through, and he wins the Champions League with Porto. Obviously, Amorim didn't win the Champions League with Sporting. He is leaving, mid-season from Sporting, so he doesn't really get the opportunity to do that. But at the end of the day, it was a very impressive run. 11 wins, no draws, no losses, a big win against City. Previously, he had a big win against Arsenal. I think those are all great tests that he's passed to be able to take on a club like Man United. Now, Mourinho had impressive wins with Porto, wins the Champions League, very impressive, goes to Chelsea, and then he's successful, and he's a defensive-minded manager. You know what he did? He has the record for least goals conceded in the Premier League. That's what he did when he went to Chelsea. Now, obviously a bit different in some aspects of the philosophy, but I think this is great because something that Ten Hag struggled to show was an idea, and he came out in the interview and said, you're going to see an idea. And tactically, we've all known Man United isn't going to play beautiful football. They're not known for saying, oh yeah, we're going to rip you apart like Barcelona 09. No, they counter-attacking football. They play winning football throughout their years with Sir Alex Ferguson. They didn't matter how you're going to win, but you were going to get the win. And if the other team was better than you on the ball, then you were going to counterattack and win by counterattacking. And that's something that Man United football has lost their way with Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag kind of winged it before each match. Oh, we're going to play West Ham. We're going to go attacking. Oh, we're going to play City. We're going to play defensive. Oh, we're going to, he kind of winged it depending on the opposition and just didn't work out. But here he's going to play a 3-4-3 here. It's going to be great for Lenny Yoro, who they bought. He's been injured, but he walks straight into the squad if there's 3 center backs. Lisandro Martinez goes on the left side. He's a left-footed center back. And then De Ligt is going to be your central center back. I think that's a solid center backs options right there. I don't believe you're going to have to make any transfers when it comes to the center back position. And then you have the 4 midfielders, which is going to be very interesting to see if he's going to end up using like the likes of Garnacho, or how he's going to use a guy like Rashford here. But it looks like Garnacho, Maserari, Casemiro, and Ugarte. I think it's going to end up being Mainu and Ugarte at one point. I think Mainu's a great box to box guy, and so is Ugarte. And I think it's gonna be great if you're just gonna be playing two midfielders, and then it's gonna be interesting to see if he's gonna be playing fullbacks or wingers on the sides, in the midfield. Obviously here it's shown a fullback and a midfielder, but I'm not sure how it's gonna work entirely. But I would think that he would use Dalot here instead of Garnacho, because Garnacho's not gonna be tracking back like a guy like Dalot would be doing, and Dalot can go up, can go forward, and he's successful going forward. Masarari, he's also a guy that can go forward and back. That's a great player for his system here. And then you got Diallo, Fernandez, and Hoyland. The guy who I don't really think is gonna fit entirely in this squad, and you might call me out in the comment section, is Bruno Fernandez, because I believe it's better for him to come out with two fullbacks like Dalot and Masarari, and then Amad Diallo and Rashford or Garnacho here on the left-hand position, and then throw a Hoyland up there. Because the thing with Bruno Fernandes is, unless he could play central midfielder, I don't see him fitting, because Bruno Fernandes is a natural center attacking mid, and he's not going to be playing that position in this system. And are you going to throw him winger? Do you really think Bruno Fernandes is going to be playing better out of position? What I think should happen, since Bruno Fernandes is getting close to 30, is that you should go out and sell the lad and bring in a world-class winger, because Man United is in need of a world-class winger. When I look at Man United, they don't have a single world-class winger. You have potentially a world-class striker on your hands in Hoyland. I think he has a lot of potential to be that. You've got De Ligt, who was once considered world class. I think Lenny Yoro can be world class potentially. Alessandro Martinez is a class player, not world class. He's class. Ugarte, I think he's decent. I think Mainu can be world class. But in the wingers position, Diallo's not world class. He's not even class. Garnacho can be class, but he's not even. I think he's just decent. Rashford, he's fallen off. The wingers position is just, and I mean, Anthony. Do you really want me to get into Anthony? I don't know how he's gonna fit onto the squad in a 3-4-3 here, but it's just, you gotta go out there and get yourself a world class winger, an X factor winger, and I think that's what they need right now. They've got a bunch of young guys, but nobody's stepping up, and the guy that should be stepping up, and he's getting paid the big bucks, and Marcus Rashford, is too busy watching basketball games in America. So if you want to actually make this a serious squad, I would get rid of Bruno Fernandes and Rashford and bring in some world-class attackers in order to get the goal scoring up and the off-the-field issues lower. Because we see Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, Rashford's going to clubs, he's going to America to watch games. Bruno Fernandes is out there, making a mockery of the captaincy when he's throwing a fit every time. You got to bring in new lads. You've got to bring in. That's not the Man United. There's no way we've seen them go from Roy Keane to Bruno Fernandes in captaincy. But anyways, I genuinely believe there's a lot of potential with Ruben Amorim. He's a young manager. He could definitely do 10, 15 years if he ends up being successful. But obviously, Ineos may be very restrictive on the time they're gonna give him. If he's failing right away, they might just sack him soon because they want to get this going. They've made a big investment. But I think this is a great manager to go with. He has an idea. He plays Man United football. It's counter-attacking football, and he's going to play winning football because he's done nothing but win at Sporting, and he's had some convincing wins against big English clubs like Arsenal and City. So I think this is a great decision. I think maybe the decision should have came after the season. Maybe had like a handshake agreement and just ran it with Van Nistelrooy. But they've decided, we're not going to let any other club have an opportunity with him, which is respectable. But I would have loved to see Van Nistelrooy get the rest of the season. And then you bring in Ruben Amorim. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment down below what you think Ruben Amorim will do. Do you think he will be successful, or do you think he will fail in the Premier League? But anyways, thank you guys for watching.